You found Radio Free Tennessee. Your Tony Basilio show will begin momentarily. Keep it locked in right here at TonyBasilio.com and on your Tony Basilio app. And hey, do us a favor. Spread the word. Another award-winning, thought-provoking, action-packed edition of the Tony Basilio Show is coming up next. Tips are always appreciated here at TonyBasilio.com, home of the Tony Basilio Show.
WJBE 1040 AM 99.7 FM. Translator W259AB. Powell, Knoxville.
And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's the Tuesday edition, fired up, focused, and prepared edition to be with you on this glory day. It's a Tuesday. It's a great day to be alive and well, and I'm pretty pumped. Cleanly shaven, reporting for duty, Tony Basilio behind the microphone. I welcome back for the first time this week Brian Hartman, who's been on assignment the last few days. Brian, I've missed hearing your voice. I hope all's well, buddy.
I missed hearing yours too, Tone. Everything is going pretty well right now.
Well, you're a good man.
Hope it stays that way.
You're a good man, Brian. And Brian Hartman's a good man. The Tennessee baseball team continues to take shape. Let's talk about Diego Pavia. No, I'm not going to lead with somebody from Vanderbilt. Matt, you can't lead with somebody from Vandy, can you? Even though he's got a big fat mouth.
No, you can't.
But Cinco de Malo is in the rearview mirror, but he is going to be feeling malo when we get done with him. Cinco de Malo. He's going to have his own holiday because he's going to be feeling malo when the Vols get done with that big mouth. But anyway, Matt, what do you think of Rapper Andy fighting in the Redneck Brawl coming up in Freedom Hall? You for that or against that, Matt? The visual of Rapper Andy.
100% for it. I'm for it all the way.
What are the chances?
We need to get him some sponsors and everything.
Yes.
Is that going to be on TV? Is that going to be streamed somewhere? Because I want to watch that.
Brian, you have to buy it. But I'm telling you right now, I'm thinking about I'm already talking to a couple people. I'm really thinking about having a listener watch party to watch that somewhere.
Do you think Berkey could get that on ESPN1?
Berkey can't even get the Vols and Vandy on ESPN1 in baseball. I mean, I'll say this for Berkey, though. Hey, those guys, Chris and those guys, did a wonderful job calling that no-hitter yesterday. That was a pretty incredible feat from Arkansas. A couple baseball things I want to talk about. You know, it's in the summer and it's baseball season. How about Christian Moore yesterday, guys, up in Yankee Stadium? Is that kind of what it's all about? Talk to me here.
He tripled in his, I guess, what is it? I remember he had a triple, the exact same type of triple in Omaha.
Yep.
His first at bat last year, right? First game, is that correct?
First
Opposite
game.
way?
First
in a
game.
big ballpark.
That's right.
First hit. Yeah.
Hey, Dixon.
He scored the winning
He scored
run,
the only run in a stadium.
And he threw out the potential tying run in the bottom of that inning at the plate on a great play when the infield was playing in with runners on the corners.
There is little doubt.
That's so awesome. He got to do that, and his kind of hometown. I saw a clip of his parents up there in the stands. That was so awesome. I got to meet his parents in Hattiesburg a few years ago during that Super. And his dad's a character, so I can't imagine how awesome that night was for the Moore family. That was really cool.
How much of a character is Christian Moore's father? He woke up all in. You ready for this? Susan Waldman, who has been on Yankee radio forever. Bri, do your Susan Waldman imitation. Bust me a little Susan Waldman, Bri.
Oh, my goodness gracious, John. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Susan Waldman.
George is that's like George box. Roger Clemens is in George's box.
Susan Waldman told a story last night. This comes courtesy of Bino Jeff Henderson, who was monitoring Yankee radio. But she told the great SEMO story last night. She said that she went down to introduce herself and was told that he was out in Monument Park, stretching and work. That's out in the outfield. He was out there stretching, getting ready for the game, taking it all in. When she got there, SEMO told her that he grew up a Yankee fan. But then he said to her, "This is my first time in the stadium." And she said, "Wait a second, you're a local kid, you grew up, this is your first time in the stadium?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "My dad's a Mets fan, and he would not let me step foot in this place." I just think that's a great story, Matt. I love stuff like that. It's like...
great. Awesome story.
Yeah, I'm glad you're a Yankee fan, son, but we're Mets fans in this house, and you're not going into that stadium. You want to play in that stadium one day, go ahead and play in it, but imagine that. That is so cool. My dad would not let me come. He's a Mets fan, and he would not let me come to the stadium. So, coming up today, we are going to have on the program Ben McKee from over at 247, who's going to join us, and he does a great baseball podcast with Will Heflin. And we're going to unpack the comings and goings of Tennessee baseball here in a few minutes. Matt, how surprised at all are you by what happened yesterday with Dylan Loy?
I was pretty surprised. I guess in this portal era, you can never be like just truly stunned by a move. Although maybe the Nico thing comes close to that, but it's disappointing. Understand where he's coming from, wants to be a starter, and can obviously be that somewhere. I think he's a really good pitcher, but I just hate losing a kid like that, who's a local kid who, kind of done everything he's asked to do, and has been pitched in some big spots for Tennessee. I hate losing a kid like that, but understand where he's coming from, and the guy who wants to be a starter and kind of showcase his abilities a little bit more. So it's just I'm kind of disappointing, but Tennessee will be fine, and hopefully he finds him a good spot where he can eat up a bunch of innings and win him some games, as long as they're not against Tennessee. Yeah,
it's kind of my thought. I wonder if he stays in the league. It'll be interesting to see what happens with him, because with left-handed arms, they're hard to find. He doesn't have what you would call like high velo knockout stuff. We were talking about that last week. But obviously at this level, a guy like that can get outs. And he's proven that. I mean, he was a pretty key pitcher for them when they won the national championship as a true freshman. And I just think it's interesting. A lot of coaches would have lied to him to keep him on the roster. And Tony, during the exit interviews, basically said, no, we're not promising you that. Kind of like Rick Barnes in a way. People have gone to Barnes and tried to strong-arm him. They had a guy last year mid-season. I'm not going to get into it, but somebody came to him after that one kid quit and said, so-and-so once more, and he said, well, you guys can leave too, because I ain't promising anybody minutes. That's not how this is going to work. And in Tony's case, it's like, look, we're going to have a fall, and we're going to go through the fall, And then when we go through the fall, the people that win jobs are going to win jobs, and then the people that keep jobs will keep jobs as we go through the season next year, which, at the end of the day, I kind of respect all sides on that thing, Matt, not trying to have it both ways, but I'm sort of with you. I'm rooting for Dylan Lloyd because he's a good kid. We've had him on here. He's a really represented Tennessee well. It's a shame to see him go. But at the same time, look, if you're going to put in all that work that it takes to play ball, and you want to pitch more innings, you got 2 more years left. Go to a place where you get an opportunity to do that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, and there's plenty of, if he wants to stay local there and, go down, there's plenty of places around here that are really good baseball programs you can go to. If you want to kind of stay at the kind of power 4 level,
yep.
I'm sure he can probably find a spot there because I think he's a really talented arm who can be very effective in the college game, especially. I mean, he was really, really good against lefties, really good with runners on. I mean, he was their high leverage guy, kind of like Kirby. The last couple of years, just kind of took over that role. So I guess we'll have to find somebody new to wear Kirby's hat next year. Well, that might be the storyline going into the fall.
Yeah, well, that's right. Gonna have to find somebody else to wear Kirby's hat. So we are going to come back on the other side. We're going to bring in Ben McKee, who is, Ben did a ton of broadcasting out of this here studio when Swaney was what happened? Swaney was in between gigs, and he needed a place before he built his studio. And I want to say, Brian, did they do the show out of here for like 6 weeks or so when he was on with Swaney every day? I think that's right. I think they were on here for like 6 or so weeks. Anyway, Ben is like a real workhorse on the Tennessee baseball beat and really gets after it and has been like at the forefront with a lot of these, a lot of this portal stuff, and does a really great job as his finger on the pulse. Matt, if you were to guess, how far into the portal thing is Tennessee? Are they 30% done, 40% done, 50% done, 75% done? Tony told me we're going portal heavy last week. Portal heavy to me does not connote 4 or 5 players like they've gotten right now. So how far into this thing, Matt? And none of us really know, but how far into this thing do you think they are?
Probably about 50 or 60%. I would say they've gotten a number of arms. Got the catcher from Bowling Green.
Yep.
I'm sure there's still a few more out there. And there might be kind of like Lloyd, there might be a surprise late portal addition from somewhere that Tennessee could certainly get in the mix for, because it's one of the premier destinations in the sport right now. So I'd say they're probably about maybe 50 or 60% done. So
we'll come back.
I just think it's fascinating. It's that interesting balance between upgrading your talent and filling needs while still retaining kind of a core group to go into the next season, because I just think that the teams with the most upside have a whole lot of homegrown talent and homegrown players on them, sprinkled in with portal guys. So it's a really interesting balance that coaches have to deal with, because the most talented teams aren't always the best teams, and a lot of times you can disrupt the locker room when you bring in portal players, even though it's become really prevalent in today's college sports.
Yeah, no question. We'll come back on the other side. Ben McKee joins. It's a balance that everybody has to walk in all these sports now. I've got to make my roster better, but I can't screw with my chemistry. And then how do I even know what chemistry is when I'm trying to remake my baseball team? I'll tell you what, I was really impressed with that kid yesterday that threw the no-hitter for Arkansas, and he shouted out a freshman from over there at Murray State who he worked out with in his hometown. The first thing out of his mouth was, I feel bad for that kid. I feel bad for their team. They played hard. That was a really, 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 really classy and focused kid yesterday after that game. And I know Arkansas eliminated Tennessee the week before, but that was one gutty effort. And that Arkansas team is not hitting the ball. I mean, that game was very much in reach, even though he had a no-no going. That game was very much in reach late. If, in college baseball, if you get a couple guys on, they left like 11 or 12 men on base, Arkansas. They look chokish to me, Bri.
Well, when you have a guy who nearly throws a perfect game, I guess that's the game where you're asking for to struggle. But going forward, they got to pick it up in that category.
No doubt about it. We'll come back on the other side.
Hitter pitched every game.
And Diego Pavia, by the way, has a big mouth. And he just doesn't have enough football game. And I like the guy. He's one of my favorite players in college, in the SEC, and in college football in general, because I like the fact that not everybody has to look the same. Not everybody has to have the physical attributes of a Greek god or a bronze Adonis to go out and play. Not everybody's got to, look like Cam Newton and, have all these measurables. This guy just goes out and plays a lot of moxie and heart. He needs to shut his mouth about our Tennessee Volunteers. He needs to shut his mouth. And if he doesn't, I'm going to sick the Twidiots on him. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to sick Rapper Andy on him. Matt, how much do you think Rapper Andy weighs? What weight group is he going to fight in mid-August?
He can't weigh more than about 120 pounds, I would think.
He's got some reach on him. Me and Bino were talking about. Rapper Andy's got some freaking long arms on him.
He's got that dog in him, too, Tom.
He's got that dog in him. I'm telling you right now.
And on his chest.
Hey, Matt, I'm going to reach out to the promoters of that thing, and I'm going to let them know who they have committed on paper to get there. And I'm going to share with those folks that they really need, Matt. They really need to let him rock the mic on the way to the ring. Think about how great that would be. They gave him the stick and let him cut a WWE promo before he got into the ring. We'll come back on the other side. Ben McKee joins right after this.
Are you wanting to raise money for mission trips or summer camps for your church? Fundraising just got easier. I'm Billy with Grade A Grounds, and we partner with churches to raise money through custom-labeled coffee. It's fresh, local, and gives back. Start today at our website, gradeagrounds.com.
Life never stops moving. And between the 30-minute commutes, daycare pickups, weekly soccer practice, Tuesday night yoga, X number of coffee runs, and that weekend trip to Grandma's, you're racking up the miles. What you need is a tire that can keep up. A tire designed for doers. A tire that's going to last. Like the exceptionally long-lasting Michelin Defender tire. With an 80,000-mile warranty and the safety and comfort you expect, you can forget all about the miles ahead and focus on getting to your destination or conquering your to-do list. Fleet Tire, I-275 exit 1B at East Woodland Avenue in Knoxville. That's Fleet Tire, I-275 exit 1B at East Woodland Avenue in Knoxville. Fleet Tire.
Jeff Hall here. I'm a partner at Rather & Kittrell Capital Management. And here at Rather & Kittrell, we understand that life is full of transitions. Since 2000, our team of dedicated certified financial planners has been helping individuals, families, and businesses navigate these changes with confidence. From comprehensive wealth management to tailored retirement plans, we're committed to guiding you toward a secure financial future. Ready to take the next step? Visit rkcapital.com or call us at 865-218-8400 to start your journey today. Rather & Kittrell is a registered investment advisor.
Summer officially starts this month, and the last thing you want during sweltering heat is a broken air conditioner or HVAC system. That means it's more important than ever to keep you and your family comfortable and safe before extreme Tennessee temperatures arrive. Don't ignore the warning signs that your AC is struggling or nearing the end of its lifespan. And if you need emergency HVAC repairs, routine preventative maintenance, or want to invest in a new system, then call the trusted HVAC experts at Pipe Wrench Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. This month, get up to a $1,000 $1 discount when you buy and install a new air conditioner or HVAC system. We make it easy with free on-site estimates for replacements and free second opinions on repairs. And if budgets are tight, we offer flexible payment plans including 0% financing with credit approval. Be sure to ask about our 10-plus year warranties that are 2 times longer than industry standards, so you don't spend a cent on unexpected costs in the future. So call Pipe Wrench at 865-264-8090 or book online at pipewrench.com to schedule your appointment today.
Out-of-town law firms have been swarming into East Tennessee lately. From Memphis, Chattanooga, and Birmingham, they've stormed into the area. Wouldn't you rather do business with a local firm? You know, a true neighbor. Marcos Garza and the pros at the Garza Law Firm are just that. There are neighbors and friends that support local causes year-round. The Garza Law Firm works to serve you professionally on criminal matters, injuries and accident matters, and Social Security and disability filings. The Garza Law Firm is here for you at garzalaw.com. The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Are you stuck in a dead-end job or ready for a new challenge? Do you feel like it's time to try a new career? Well, it's time to change lanes with TLD Logistics. My friends at TLD Logistics have some really exciting opportunities for you to learn a new skill. With a new 5-acre driving academy that's now under new leadership with all new course material. And the best part, it's absolutely free. What a great deal to set you on the road to higher pay. And TLD Logistics even offers weekly stipends to offset food and gas expenses. In 6 weeks' time, you could complete this course and be in compliance with FMCSA regulations. Then you're ready for the open road of opportunity. What are you waiting for? It's time to change lanes with TLD Logistics. Visit tldlogistics.com. That's tldlogistics.com. TLD Logistics.
A lime is not always just a lime. You see, some limes are lucky. For when a lime joins the salted rim of a crisp, refreshing Tres Dos Equis, that lime is no longer a mere lime, but a wedge of renowned Mexican limón. Muchas gracias, limón. And also, de nada. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. Copyright 2024 Dos Equis, imported by Cervezas Mexicanas, White Plains, New York.
Hi there, Basilio crew. Jennifer Morris here with Keller Williams Realty. If you're thinking about selling your home, I've got good news for you. The East Tennessee and Knoxville areas are projected to have another strong year. I'll be happy to talk with you about the latest and greatest info you need. So give me a call at 865-694-5904 or contact me at nextmovesmokymountains.com. Hope to hear from you soon and go Vols.
Josh Collins at Collins Insurance Agency. At Collins Insurance, we strive to ensure our customers receive better coverage along with bigger savings. Our community is important to us. We want to provide exceptional service to our customers. Anybody can provide great rates, great coverage, but can you also get great service? And hey, don't just take my word for it.
What's up, everybody? Zakai Ziegler here. My family turns to Collins Insurance Agency for the best service, coverage, and price.
So don't just go online and get some random insurance. Experience the Collins Insurance difference.
Like he said, experience the Collins Insurance difference. CollinsInsuranceTN.com. CollinsInsuranceTN.com. And hey, their Mama Zizi approved. CollinsInsuranceTN.com. Thank you to Josh Collins and Zizi.
One more thing, Tony. Go Vols!
Preparing food for a big gathering can really take it out of you. That's why you need to call Calhoun's and check out their selection of party platters. Whether you're hosting a party for the big game, a reunion, or just an everyday gathering, a Calhoun's party platter is next level. Choose from Calhoun's always excellent chicken tenders, fly with Calhoun's wings, or boneless wings with a variety of dipping sauces, award-winning next-level melt-in-your-mouth barbecue ribs, or delicious spinach artichoke dip, or get one of each. Plus, if you're doing burgers or sandwiches, Calhoun's has lots of side dishes like spinach Maria, baked cinnamon apples, Smoky Mountain baked beans, or creamy coleslaw. Available in pints, quarts, and gallons. And to finish things off, pick up one of Calhoun's great desserts to go, including homemade cheesecake or key lime pie. Calhoun's, simply your go-to party headquarters. With 9 locations all over East Tennessee, you can order online and just pick it up. Calhoun's, one of the Copper Cellar family of restaurants, along with Chesapeake's, Copper Cellar, Corner 16, Cherokee Grill, and Smoky Mountain Brewery. Eat local, eat good. My name's Tony Basilio, and I welcome you back. I've got Matt Dixon with me, Brian Hartman. It's a Tuesday. the man on the beat for the baseball team who really, when it comes to you watch Tennessee in the portal, you're going to want to keep your eye on Ben McKee, who's got his eye on the prize. Ben McKee, you set the market, bro. That's all I can say. You're kind of the man.
I appreciate you saying that. You're being way too kind, but I do appreciate you saying that.
No, man. Like, in my neighborhood, what we would say about you when I was growing up is he could dribble, he can shoot, he's a man. Because you get it done. And I was talking to you off the air about this portal stuff, and it just feels so like nebulous and unknown, and it's hard to get a handle on it. Do you think, Ben, they know inevitably how many guys they're going to bring in from this haul?
No, I don't. I think they haven't. I think they're viewing this as more of, okay, we need this. We need these positions. We want to feel better about this position group than we did during the season. So let's make sure we check these boxes. I don't think it's, okay, we have 8 guys to go get. Because I don't really know that they know how they should manage the roster with all the new rules and trying to make sure that it gets down to 34. It's just going to look so different from a roster construction standpoint. I think they're kind of learning on the fly, quite frankly. Baseball roster construction was already very unique because of the draft and how late the draft is and how close it is to the fall semester. But now you throw kind of a wrench into the plans all of a sudden with having to make sure that you're down in numbers to 34 by the time January rolls around. Of course, you can have as many as you want during the fall, but even that puts you in a tricky spot. So I think they're kind of learning on the fly, and because of that, they don't really know exactly how many guys that they can add. I think they're going to be benefited by the draft hitting them pretty hard, and I know that sounds kind of funny, but I think the draft is really going to help them out in terms of sorting through the roster total, because there are going to be so many guys drafted that sign with pro teams, both on the active roster and high school signees as well. So I think they're just trying to address needs right now rather than target X amount of players and just kind of letting the numbers work out for themselves in the long run.
Hey, Matt Dixon, you and I were talking about this during the break. The draft is a real mystery. And for the first time since Tony's been here, guys, and Matt, I want you to go first, and then Ben, you guys kind of bounce off each other. It seems like the draft, I don't know if they purposefully did this, but they're recruiting, I don't want to say a different level of guy, but it's almost like they recruited knowing, hey, we're going to get hit by the draft here.
It feels that way because this is the first year where they have like a number of guys who were almost assuredly going to be drafted high and just go pro out of high school. They have a couple every year that do that, but they're not for sure guarantees to do that. You have like Manny Ramirez's kid last year, like a flyer late. You have some guys who have really good like senior years in high school and they elevate into that 3rd to 5th round deal. But outside of Brady House, who I think just made his MLB debut yesterday, this is the first year where there's like no doubt a few guys that Tennessee has signed that are high first round picks that are just not going to be on campus. So no, it's interesting, and that will help sort things out. And I mean, just the uncertainty with the roster and the 34-man thing, it makes it almost impossible to put a team together at this point. But obviously Tennessee will figure out a way, and I would trust Vitello as much as anybody to have a really talented team. So, but it is a numbers game at this point, and the draft will sort most of that out, or at least give you a good idea of where you're at.
And the draft is like it's wild this time around, Ben, because at the end of the day, how do I know my needs until I know who shakes out, how this thing shakes out? Because there might be a surprise in there. I guess that's why you get involved with those guys, right? Every once in a while, somebody will get involved with a major league franchise. There will be an impasse, and then they end up reporting to school. I mean, it doesn't happen at the highest high levels that frequently, but it does happen, Ben, and I guess that's why you take flyers on guys.
1,000%. And it happens every year. I mean, we've got two great examples of that in last year's draft. And then there's one trending in the right direction for Tennessee right now, Cameron Appenzeller, a lefty who is the equivalent of a five-star football prospect. He's one of the top players in the country, was projected to be a first-round draft pick for several months, and then a minor injury pops up during his senior season, and he comes back to pitch from that minor injury, and there's a lot of scouts and decision makers in attendance, and the command wasn't super great because he was a bit rusty, and now he's kind of fallen on draft boards, and there's serious momentum that he actually ends up making it to campus. And when he committed, I mean, exactly what you said. Every time a Brady House or a Billy, one of the top players in the country, commits, it's always the response in my mentions or on the message boards is like, why even take this guy's commitment when he's probably not going to make it to campus? And I think especially with pitchers, because of how fickle the arms can be, you just don't know what's going to pop up. That they were able to get Anson Seibert, a righty who was their top-ranked signee last year. Nobody thought he was going to make it to campus, and then an injury pops up, and he has to have a version of Tommy John surgery. I don't know the exact details of his injury or surgery, but he redshirted this year. But it was almost like a foregone conclusion that he was going to go to the draft until that injury popped up, and kind of same with Appenzeller. And I don't mean to insinuate that it's a done deal, because I don't think it is at all that he absolutely makes it to campus, but there's serious momentum and positive buzz that he does make it to campus. It's a realistic opportunity, chance, whatever you want to call it, and it didn't seem like that back in the fall. So that's why you take a flyer on guys, even the highest ranked guys that are being projected as first round picks, especially on the pitching side, just because you don't know what may happen during their senior year, whether it's an injury or whether they don't have a good senior year. I've seen that happen as well.
Yes.
It's not as trustworthy on the position player side. Like when Billy Carlson committed, the kid from California who's about to be a top 10 pick as a shortstop, it was a foregone conclusion pretty much at that point that he was going to get drafted and signed, and you kind of have Steele Hall down in the Birmingham area. You have guys that are certainly gone, but you take a flyer, especially on pitchers, just because you don't know what's going to happen.
And that's a really good point you bring up, the fickle nature of the arm, and then the fact that some guys, they might slide on a board or whatever, and then every once in a while, the draft's weird because it's not like the football draft where there's slotted money and this is what you get. What they do sometimes is they'll draft a guy highly in the draft with the understanding that you'll take less so we can grab a few more players and slot them or pay them higher than what slot value is. The Major League Draft is really an interesting, odd deal. But the way this is going to play out for the uninitiated, as we talk about Tennessee and they're putting their roster together on the fly here, and we watch the construction of it. July 13th and 14th is the draft. So the portal remains open, and Tennessee still has needs. Ben, when you look at Tennessee's board, as Ben McKee joins 247, by the way, I'm going to let him promote everything he's doing because he does a great podcast with our boy Will Heflin, who's up for the Bob Costas Broadcasting Award for the job that he did this year on our post-game show. But, Ben, when you look at Tennessee's needs right now, okay, just bare minimum needs, what do you think they're going to add from here?
I see them adding an infielder, probably a middle infielder, which is why you saw the Jaron Advincola kid from Cal make his way in. He's a second baseman. He was here last week on a visit. I think middle infield is a need for Tennessee, or at least at bare minimum an infielder in general. And then I think they really need help in the outfield. The cupboard is bare with Reese Chapman expected to move on in the draft. Hunter Ensley, obviously out of eligibility. Dalton Bargo in the same boat as Reese Chapman, also expected to move on in the draft. So you're going to have a brand new outfield next year. And so I think adding a true outfielder is at the top of the priority list. I don't know that I would put it ahead of pitching just because of how important pitching is. And, this year's pitching staff was good, but it was not consistent, especially out of the bullpen. And I think by the end of the season, Tony and Frank and the coaching staff were frustrated by how inconsistent the pitching staff was. And I asked him in that post-game press conference at Arkansas after the season ended, he mentioned that there are ways that I can be better, and I kind of followed up on that, and he talked about recruiting and also went out of his way to kind of reference that they didn't have a closer. And I don't know that he meant like the traditional Mariano Rivera, that 1, 2, 3 in the ninth inning, but they didn't have that Redmond Walsh or Sean Hunley or Aaron Combs that when the high leverage situation popped up in the 7th, 8th, or ninth, they didn't have that one guy that they could turn to, that they had the utmost confidence in, that they would come in and slam the door and help close the game out. So I think shoring up the bullpen is very much a priority, which is why you've seen them go so pitcher heavy early on in the portal with Clay Edmondson and Bo Rudy from Kennesaw State. We saw Brady Frederick last week from ETSU. They've got the MIT guy or Mason Estrada from MIT. So the pitching is very much a priority. But on the position player side of things, I think outfield is at the top of the list. And they did add Garrett Wright over the weekend, the transfer from Bowling Green, who did catch at Bowling Green and was very good defensively as a catcher. But he was also recruited by Tennessee to play in the outfield. He'll get an opportunity to catch, but I do think he'll probably play more outfield than people realize, or at least be in the mix to play in the outfield and kind of dependent on what happens with Stone Lawless and Levi Clark behind the plate. But they don't really have any true outfielders. They have a couple of guys who redshirted. Jackson Walker is a local product who is a fairly highly ranked signee. He's already doing well up in the Tri-Cities this summer. But just the cupboard is bare in the outfield, and that's why I think you saw them identify Aiden Robbins from Seton Hall and a couple of others that they would like to get in here because they need some outfield help with such a big turnover this offseason.
We had Tony on the show last week, and obviously like when he comes on here, it's like sitting in the I'm like his counselor or something. But he was supposed to give us like 15 minutes, and he stayed on for 40. And then I text him afterwards. I'm like, man, I'm sorry. And he's like, nah, I just kind of needed somebody to talk to. And I'm going, okay, whatever. But one thing he said, which was interesting, was he said, we have somebody sitting in our office right now I'm looking at. And I'm sure he's doing this for recruiting purposes. He said, if we land this kid, if we land this person, the only thing standing between us and a great season next year will be ourselves, or getting to where we want to go, which is talking about going to Omaha. That's obviously how Tony thinks. So was he talking about the pitcher from Rutgers, or do you think he was talking about the second baseman from Cal, because they were both on campus at the time? Or was there a mystery person, do you think, sitting near him, that he wanted to hear that? What do you think that was about?
He was talking about Landon Mack, the transfer from Rutgers. They think that he can be a first-round pick when it's all said and done. He just wrapped up his freshman season at Rutgers, and if you kind of look at the numbers, it was a 4-something ERA, and you hear him say that because trust me, when Tony said that on your show last week, I got several text messages. Who's Tony talking about? And you kind of look at the numbers, and you wouldn't think that would be those comments would be correlated with those numbers at Rutgers, but they believe that he can be a first-round pick here in a couple of years. I do believe he's a 3-year guy, so if he were to come to Tennessee, then he would be here for 2 seasons, if I'm not mistaken. But they believe he can be a first-round pick when it's all said and done, and really believe in his stuff. And that's who he was referencing when he made those comments. And I do believe the visit went well, but there's some stuff that needs to be tied up on the players in before he comes to a decision. So I'm not necessarily expecting a quick decision. Now, I had that expectation last Wednesday, Thursday, so maybe it's changed almost a week later, but don't know that one's going to get done very quickly. But Tennessee did feel like the visit went well with Landon Mack, the Rutgers transfer pitcher.
Hey, Matt, jump in here. Any thoughts, ideas? Go ahead, man.
Yeah, Ben, you mentioned Bargo and Chapman potentially, moving on, whether that's, getting drafted or just signing a pro deal. Where do you put Cannon Peebles in all this? Because he's another guy who I don't know if he gets drafted or definitely doesn't get drafted high. Has the eligibility left. Him, Peebles, and then the two corner outfitters are kind of in the same boat where they have a bunch of options available. What do you think Cannon Peebles is in terms of being on Tennessee's team next year?
Yeah, those are the three guys that have kind of been in my mind question marks, I guess. Bargo, Chapman, and Peebles, players that are really good baseball players. I know Bargo and Chapman did not end the season the way that they wanted to, but you can certainly see why a team would draft them. Would not be high, but probably high enough to where they felt comfortable just going ahead and starting the clock on their professional career since they're 3 years into this thing. And I kind of put Cannon Peebles in that boat as well. I don't really see Cannon being back. I think it'd be a great thing if he came back for Tennessee, because that's a veteran at a very important position, arguably the most important position on the field outside of pitcher. I think it'd be a great thing for Tennessee, but not that he's going to get drafted in like the top 5 rounds or anything, but drafted high enough to where he would feel comfortable with what he would sign for to go ahead and begin his pro career. So I'd be as of today, I'd be surprised if Cannon Peebles is back next season, but you never say never in the draft. And it's just so hard to project, because Jared Dickey was being told that he was going to go in the 3rd, 4th round, if I remember correctly. And he gets drafted in the 10th or 11th round, whatever it was. And he was very much on the verge of coming back to Tennessee for another season, but the Royals, who traded him to the Athletics, they were willing to give him 3rd and 4th round money, despite him being drafted in the 11th round, I think it was, because they had not successfully signed somebody ahead of him or something along those lines. So you just never know with the draft. It's really more about what a team is willing to pay, and if they'll meet the asking price more so than it is about where the player is drafted. But it sounds like Cannon Peebles is going to be situated nicely going into the draft and have a comfortable enough situation to where he would be fine with moving on. So again, I'd be kind of surprised if he's back in Tennessee Orange next year.
It was a little surprising that
Garrett.
Go ahead, Brian.
Go ahead, Matt. Brian, you're skipping around. Go ahead, Matt.
Just a little surprising that Dylan Loy entered the portal yesterday. I mean, you don't have to name names, but do you think there might be another kind of surprise guy that leaves the roster in the coming days or weeks?
It would surprise me as of today. I have not heard any rumblings of anybody else. I mean, you hear about a freshman being frustrated about not playing as much as he feels like he should have. There was one guy that I was keeping an eye on, but he has not entered yet. And to me, almost a week and a half after the season comes to an end, I feel like that's a great sign, and it seems like he is going to be back. So I would not, if I'm a Tennessee fan, I'm not worried at all about who a guy that you would not want to lose entering the portal. Something would have to change as of right now. I think if they were going to enter the portal, it would have already happened. Tennessee held some exit meetings since they flew out Monday afternoon after they lost on Sunday in Fayetteville, and at the hotel, if I'm not mistaken, they had some exit meetings and expressed to the young players on the roster which ones that they would they certainly want to come back. They emphasized that they wanted them back, and Dylan Loy was one of those guys, and all of the other ones that you can imagine that they were included in that. So I'm not expecting anybody else. Now, maybe if you go out and land Jaron Advincola, the middle infielder from Cal, or a different infielder, maybe that prompts Ariel Antigua to move on. But as of right now, I'm not hearing any buzz that would lead to somebody unexpected entering the portal.
Because the reality here, and again, just to give Ben McKee some cover, because here's the way the game's played. these guys are all talking to family members are getting calls from different head coaches and people from different places. Like, for instance, I say this out loud, the guy at Georgia has been kind of poaching around on Tennessee's young freshman outfielder that hit the home run in the Super Regional game at Arkansas. I mean, I keep it real. That's kind of what we do here. And but Tennessee has plans for him, right? I mean, what do you see as his role next year? And then a guy like Newstrom, do you think those guys are corner outfielders, infield, or Newstrom on third, or how does this thing going to play out, do you think?
I would love to see Jay Abernathy play in the outfield, but I think that they are going to give him a realistic shot to be a middle infielder. That's something that Tony has consistently said in his press conferences throughout Jay's freshman season. That is what Jay signed with Tennessee to be, a middle infielder. That is his more natural position, but I think he can be an absolute game changer in center field. I think he can be Enrique Bradfield Jr. out there.
Yep, I agree with that.
I really do. But we'll see. I think that for Tennessee, you kind of got to play the game a little bit. And that's something that, again, Tony maintained, like, hey, we're going to give him a chance. Tony's whole thing is like, because all of these guys have aspirations to be drafted, obviously. They have a professional future, and they get so caught up on playing this position or that position. So Tony's thing is like trying to strike a balance of serving both purposes. Like for Jay Abernathy, for example, they want to make sure that they essentially put him playing middle infield on tape for professional teams down the road for when his draft year comes up. That those scouts and organizations that they can look back to and they can see him playing middle infield in the SEC. So he wants to do right by Jay Abernathy in that regard, but then he's also going to do what is best for the team. And if he believes that Jay playing center field or left field or second base, he's going to put him where he feels like it best suits the team as well. He's going to try and serve both purposes. You saw that with Andrew Fisher this year, where early in the season, before he became the fixture over at first base and before it became evident they needed him at first base, they still gave him some opportunities at third base to essentially put on film for professional teams. That's why you would see Fisher start at third in those early midweek games. So I think they'll do that with Jay Abernathy. Newstrom, I think, is just a big-time utility player. I truly think you can put him anywhere on the field, probably other than catcher. And if I remember correctly, I think his senior year, he played everywhere but catcher. He played everywhere but one position. I think it was catchers, unless I'm forgetting. But I'm a huge Chris Newstrom fan. I think as of right now, I would put him at third base and slide Manny Marin over to shortstop.
Oh, man. Go ahead. Yeah. So you would slide Newstrom over to short, and then probably...
No, I keep Newstrom at third and slide Manny
Newstrom,
over to short.
Yeah. And then your second baseman's Abernathy to start, just to kind of let him get there and do his thing. Matt, your thoughts on that alignment for now, in terms of if Tennessee goes that route, which would leave a lot of holes in the outfield. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I think sliding Marin to short makes the most sense right now, depending on if you bring a true shortstop in. Newstrom, you can find a spot for, like Ben said, he's got some versatility. Blake Grimmer does as well, although he's more of a corner infielder, corner outfielder guy. I actually think Grimmer could be a really good first baseman with how intelligent he is and the way he thinks about the game. I think he could be a really good first baseman, but a corner spot for him. I like Abernathy in center field too, and potentially as your leadoff hitter for 2 years. I think I think the floor with him is like an all SEC type, and I think all American potential, especially if he can find a way to hit some home runs like he did in Fayetteville. So, and Ben, I know Marin's a draft eligible sophomore next year. Is there anybody else on the roster who would fit that, who is draft eligible after just 2 years, or is Marin the only one that comes to mind?
Tegan Coons is a 2-year guy. Anson Seibert is a 2-year guy. Chris Newstrom is a 2-year guy. I believe Jay Abernathy might be, but I'm struggling to remember off the top of my head if Jay is. But they have a couple of guys, unfortunately. Levi Clark is a 3-year guy. I know that one will excite Tennessee fans the most, but I know Manny is, Newstrom is, and then the 2 pitchers, Coons and Seibert, are as well. I would need to double check on Jay Abernathy.
You mentioned Levi Clark there in passing. I love that kid. I think he's got insane ability. I think we all saw that at times this year. Is he like a DH for life? I mean, what is his position? I know they say he catches, right? Can he catch?
He needs to take a step forward with the glove behind the plate. I think he can. It's just I think obviously Peoples was ahead of him this year, which is understandable. I think Stone Lawless was ahead of him with the glove. I think maybe first base is what he's destined for. And I don't mean to count him out at all. I just think it's a really important offseason for him defensively, just like for Blake Grimmer. Blake Grimmer was one of the players, from my understanding, that they voiced to in Fayetteville that they want back. But for Blake, he can obviously swing the bat. Still needs to develop right and hit SEC pitching better. But I think what's as important for him is the glove and having a big offseason with the glove as much as it is Levi Clark. So I think probably your most likely scenario right now is Stone Lawless behind the plate next year and Levi Clark over at first. But Levi's certainly going to get an opportunity to get better behind the dish and be the starting catcher. There are questions from people who cover the draft about his long-term fit at catcher and believe that first base is a more likely scenario than catching.
Pretty interesting. The young man they signed from Bowling Green, you said off the top, for people like me that think they've addressed their quote-unquote catcher needs, you think this guy is going to split time and play some outfield. If you were to put a percentage on it and just project, again, and this stuff's all subject to change. It could get in the fall, and this guy could be a bang-out guy behind the plate, and they just hand him the job, and after he wins it, and he might want to do that, and who knows. So there's a lot of moving parts here, but I'm not trying to pin you down. But if you were to speculate at this point in time, what percentage do we see that kid catch? What percentage do we see that kid play an outfield position or somewhere else?
I would say it's 60-40 that he catches, maybe 55-45. I think it really depends on what Stone Lawless and Levi Clark do. I think if one of those guys truly take a stronghold of the catching position, then I think that Garrett Wright probably ends up in the outfield. And center field was the position that was mentioned to me. Obviously, he could play the corner outfield spots if they feel comfortable him playing center field. But I think Stone Lawless and Levi Clark will determine where Garrett Wright plays, because I think they're going to be comfortable with him behind the dish. He was very good defensively at Bowling Green behind the dish. So if Levi Clark and Stone Lawless don't take the step forward that they need to this offseason, then I think Garrett Wright is your starting catcher. If one of those guys really do have a big offseason, then I think Garrett Wright probably catches a game a weekend, is kind of that secondary catcher that gives the starter a day off, like Stone was for Cannon earlier in the year, and then is out in the outfield in those other days. But I think those other two guys will determine how much he plays. But he is certainly an outfield option, and that will be settled in the fall, depending on how all three play and how all three's off season goes. Another name to consider outfield is Tyler Myatt, the Walter State kid. He played second base at Walter State this past season, but he's under the impression that he's going to be a corner outfielder for Tennessee next year. So I know I was talking about outfield help earlier in the cupboard being pretty bare. Tyler Myatt, the local product who had a big time year at JUCO for Walter State, I think there's a good chance that he starts in one of the corner outfield spots as well, as long as the bat translates.
Ben McKee, you're the man. Tell the living listener where all they can read your stuff, plug your podcast, anything else you want to hit up. And I really appreciate you taking some time for us and giving us a nice, long, healthy segment here, man.
Well, I appreciate y'all having me on. It's a pleasure. I'm glad Will Heflin could get off the airwaves in Knoxville for a little while to allow other people to talk as well. But if you want to hear me and Will talk at the same time, then you can check out our Diamond Vols podcast at GoVols247.com twice a week during the season. Now it's probably once a week. I think we'll have another one coming out Wednesday or first thing Thursday morning. Will, as you said, has been phenomenal and is really, really good at this for somebody who hasn't been doing it very long. And we've established a really cool friendship. So I'm thankful for him and all the time that he's given to me. But they can find my written work at GoVols247.com. Of course, I'm on with Jason Swain in the mornings on Tuesday and Thursday, and Mr. Heflin and myself are rocking and rolling with this baseball podcast, which it also can be found at GoVols247.com.
Yeah, and you're really setting the market, as I said earlier. I told you that off the air. I say it on the air. I tip my cap to people that get out there and hustle and grind and get at it. And you certainly do all that and then some. So I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Yes, and I appreciate you saying that and for the kind words. And always thankful for you. When Swain was transitioning to his own in-home studio, you opened your doors for us to come into your house every morning and do our thing. So always thankful for you and always in debt to you. So always.
Well, that was wild.
Thank you for that.
I was talking about that when we were. I appreciate it, man. Swain would do the same for me. Jason Swain is good. You talk about good people. That guy's great people. And I saw him and his daughter last week at the Smokies game, the Marcos Garza event over at the Smokies game. And, man, anytime you're around Swain, you cannot help but smile when you're around that dude. He is just and his daughter's a sweetheart. And, man, what a great guy Swaney is. But that was a crazy time. Like, because we would forget you guys were down here. And so we'd be upstairs, like, eating breakfast, and something happens on the air, and you guys are down here, and we're like, oh, that's the radio show in our basement. You know what I mean? It was like 6 weeks or so, right? It was
a good 2 months.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It was a long time, but
pretty wild.
Very gracious of you and your family to.
Oh, we love you guys. Hey, thank you, brother. Good talking to you.
Absolutely. Y'all have a great week.
One more time, Ben McKee. Matt, needless to say, Tennessee's got a lot of holes, but they've got a lot of opportunity. I think they're going to have a very good baseball team next year, Matt. I think they have the makings of a really nice young team with the young core they have, and I think they're going to have a pretty damn good baseball team when all the dust settles here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think under Vitello, they're going to be competitive every year and in the tournament every year. I've said it before. My kind of goal, big picture wise, every year is to host a regional, and then you just kind of take your chances from there. But that's certainly not going to change for this upcoming year. You say they have a lot of holes, but they have a lot of talent. It's really just a lot of uncertainty. You got to figure out roles, which I'm not quite sure this team did very well, especially pitching wise.
Yep.
But I think you're going to have kind of a pissed off Vitello who kind of told us on air he's going to make it a point to, field a team next year that has a little bit of edge to them.
Yes.
And that's a scary thing for the rest of college baseball.
And it's a welcome thing for Tennessee fans to hear, because the thing that Tennessee fans found most endearing on the front end of this Vitello experience is the edge. The edge is a huge deal here. This is an edgy place. This is a place that, though Lane Kiffin was here for I don't know what it was, 9 months or whatever he was here for, Tennessee loved the edge he brought. Of course, he had his eye on another place, and he was a kid and didn't appreciate it. But the edge that Bruce Pearl brought when he first packed the gym, and you literally could not get in the gym, and people were wearing the orange blazers and all the things that he did. The edge here is a big, big, big deal. It's a major component with our fan base. It speaks to the ethos of our fans, and it's an important deal. But in the meantime, Matt talked about goals. The goal for Tony every year is to get to the College World Series. That's who he is. He's been there 3 or 5 years now. My question for you is this. Let's think about Tennessee football now. Bino and I had our discussion the last couple of days regarding Josh Heupel. I want to pull the lens back a little further. You're in a 12-team playoff. You're in a 5+11 format. They're going to go to a 16-team format. When they go to 16 teams, here's the question. How many years, if you go in the 5-year increments, should Tennessee make a playoff? You're in a 5-year increment. And if you don't make the playoffs in that time period, is it a fireable offense? We'll come back. I want to hear from you on the other side at 865-200-5402. And I'm just thinking about Tennessee football historically in the league. I'm thinking about Tennessee football's resources. I'm thinking about, an AD that has all these grandiose plans, making the playoffs. I mean, should it be a borderline foregone conclusion around here in a 5+11 format? Because a 5+11 format to me connotes that in this league, you're going to get 6 teams in the playoffs, maybe 7 sometimes, unless I'm not mathematizing properly. Brian and Matt will help me think about that. You'll think about that. We'll think about that. We'll do it all on the other side as we continue on your Tuesday edition. Matt Dixon in the house, presented by our friends at Budget Transmission. Jerry and the gang at Budget, don't begrudge it. You better darn well take it to Budget.
WJBE,
Hour
2:40 AM, 99.7 FM. Translator W259AB. Powell, Knoxville.
Are you searching for a great local coffee? I'm Billy with Grade A Grounds. You can buy our freshly roasted coffee online and support a good cause with every sip. Great coffee, greater causes. Visit our website today, gradeagrounds.com.
It's the hottest post-game show on the planet. Garza Law. Fifth quarter fan reaction. Fan reaction. As soon as the final gun sounds, we're live.
Tony Basilio, and we are live once again with Chad Stockton of FC Alliance. And Chad, you're out there on the field, 100 strong here in Knoxville. Talk to me. What's been going on with FC Alliance now that the weather's heating up?
We're out here for the first night of the boys' tryouts. We have over 400 kids that'll be here tonight. So a lot of exciting times right now for us. Our club team start at U9 and we go all the way through U19. We have over 1,000 kids that come from Chattanooga from the Tri-Cities that make all our teams and make this club what it is today. So we're excited about it. We finished the younger kids a couple of weeks ago. We just finished the girls last night, and now we're on to our older boys program as we speak right now.
And we're blowing and going in the Tri-Cities. Tell me about it.
We started FC Alliance North 1 year ago, and coming off the first year, we are the largest, most competitive club up in the Tri-Cities area. We just finished our tryouts last night. Looks like right now we will be well over 400 kids for the upcoming season. So great things happening up there. We've put our boys into some really good regional leagues. So we're excited about what the future holds for them and also our girls programs.
If you want more information, check them out at fcallianceknox.org. That's fcallianceknox.org. Chad Stockton, keep growing the beautiful game here in East Tennessee.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tony.
Hi, I'm Jim Simpson, owner of Simpson Meats. When's the last time you grilled a really good burger or steak? One your friends still talk about. Our goal at Simpson Meats is to make that happen every time you have a cookout. All of our cuts of meats, steaks, burgers, briskets, and pork are always fresh, flavorful, and sustainably sourced. We are family owned, so we know the importance of knowing how and where your food is raised. We have been putting quality first since 1888. Visit our butcher shop off Lovell Road or online at simpsonmeats.com.
Listen up, baseball fans. It's time to step up to the plate late and get some new Tennessee gear from Alumni Hall. Don't you dare swing and miss by shopping elsewhere. Alumni Hall has the best selection, top brands for you to choose from. Shop in store, 3 Knoxville locations, or Bristol or Murfreesboro. Anytime online, anywhere in the world at alumnihall.com. Come grab your Tennessee baseball jerseys. Incredible. Oh, Coach Vitello's jersey, hats, decals, t-shirts, and so much more. Earn $10 in rewards for every $150 spent. Shop Alumni Hall, your ultimate Tennessee shopping destination. Go Vols from Alumni Hall. Tony Basilio along with the great Mark Griffin. And we're here to talk about our friends at Performance Medicine. And Griff, their slogan, stay educated, stay healthy. That's you.
Wow. I really like to think that, Tony, and I'd like to give Dr. Rogers a lot of credit because I definitely want to stay educated and healthy, and knowing that he's putting the time and effort in to make sure of my care, I want to encourage your listeners to put the time to learn and become educated and get to know Dr. Rogers and see if it can help with your health as well.
And there's a really, really easy way to do that. In fact, they've got their own YouTube channel. You can see Dr. Rogers for himself with his staff. It's called The Performance Medicine Show over at the Performance Medicine channel over on YouTube. Also, more information at performancemedicine.net. To our friends in North Knoxville, a brand new location over in Fountain City, now accepting patients. So many ways to reach Dr. Rogers. And like they say, stay educated, stay healthy. Performance Medicine, online, performancemedicine.net. TB here for Cedar Bluff Plumbing, a live and local company that's been serving our area for over 32 years and counting because every customer counts, and I mean no job is too small. Cedar Bluff Plumbing just voted #1 by City View magazine because multiple plumbing experts are on call to serve all your plumbing needs. Chances are there'll be a plumber in your area when you call, and they won't send some salesman to your house. You're going to get a high character, trustworthy, highly trained plumber who will serve you. Not like some of these guys that look like they came off the set of America's Most Wanted. Cedar Bluff Plumbing is Basilio tested and approved and will go the extra mile for you because Chucky Mack is a servant of the people and my consigliere to the throne, celebrating over 32 years of serving living volunteers. Cedar Bluff Plumbing. Call 588-4448. That's 588-4448. Cedar Bluff Plumbing.
Attention Vol fans, are you tired of complicated, clunky fleet technology that makes your job harder? Say goodbye to frustration and hello to Connexial, your hometown partner in logistics. It's time to rev up your operations with next level fleet management from Connexial. Connexial is here to keep your business on track with technology that works as hard as you do. Our game-changing ELD gives you more than just hours of service. With AI-powered dash cameras and real-time asset tracking, you'll have eyes on the road, cargo, and your fleet from anywhere, anytime. And the best part, our friendly US-based customer support team is just one phone call away. No more long wait times or frustrating tech talk. Just real people with real solutions. With Connexial, you get a professional team you can trust and easy-to-use products that keep you on the road. What do you say, Tony?
I'm ready. Make the smart move and call Connexial today.
865-888-6920. Learn more at Connexial.com. That's Konexial.com. Drive life with Connexial and go Vols.
Basilio here, and you know my friends at Carnes Motor Company started with a dream over a quarter century ago. I met Rob and Brian back when I still had hair, and they were working at a huge dealership in West Knoxville. But they told me back then they wanted to sell cars on their terms, and I wanted to do radio on my terms. Their terms, just like my terms, are ultimately your terms. In both cases, you're the winner. A Car Guru's National Award winner with a 5-star rating on all sites, just like our Vols. Everything about buying a car from Carnes Motor Company is no hassle. They specialize in high-quality pre-owned vehicles between the $5,000 to $25,000 range. And if you need to sell a car, they'll either buy your car or they'll help you sell it. Carnes Motor Company also has a top-notch service department. Therefore, every vehicle is rigorously inspected and serviced prior to delivery. So you're guaranteed to get a quality pre-owned vehicle every time. If you need a place for service, they've got you covered. Come be a part of the Carnes Motor Company family and tell them you heard about it from B. Online at carnesmotor.com. Oak Ridge Highway, 1 mile past the Carnes light. Carnes Motor Company.
Yeehaw! Some people say betting online is still the wild, wild west. But with the VIP Play app, you're riding with the best. VIP Play app is hotter than a $2 pistol packed with flair. Live hosts and features finer than a frog hair. Send your old betting problems out of town with a slap. You'll be betting sharp as a tack on the VIP Play app. Don't be a better, be a better with VIP Play today.
Download VIP Play today or head to VIPPlayApp.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-88-99789. Must be 21 plus and located in Tennessee to bet.
Jeff Hall here. I'm a partner at Rather and Kittrell Capital Management. Life is full of transitions. Planning for retirement, managing investments, or navigating major life changes. Here at Rather and Kittrell, we're here to guide you through every step. Visit rkcapital.com or call 865-218-8400 to start your journey toward financial clarity today. Rather and Kittrell is a registered investment advisor.
It is unbelievable, Andy Mack, as I welcome you back. I got to get somebody tomorrow for the RK Capital Capital Management World Champion Wednesday. As Matt Dixon said, we have a couple weeks still to celebrate holding the crown. Another Wednesday anyway, at least. And I'm going to take every moment I can because that was good to the last drop. And it wasn't Folgers in my cup either. Or that's the best part of waking up was Folgers in your cup. What's the one, Bri, the coffee that was good to the last drop? Do you remember? Good to the last drop.
Maxwell, how was it? Maxwell House or Maxwell
House.
Something?
Yeah, Maxwell House. Good to the last drop. Is that right, sweetie? Good to the last drop, Maxwell House? Because the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. But, of course, my boy Billy at Grade A Ground, shout out to him, because that's my boy right there. Let me, without further ado, because this guy's doing it right out of his house and making it happen. And I love that. Ain't that America? It's the you and the me, baby, and it's something to see. Little John Cougar for you. Or Mellencamp, whatever he went by when he did that. Bri, you asked me a question during the break. I asked you guys a question about the playoff, and when this thing goes to 16 teams, they're going to go to a 5+11 format, and how many times under that format should Tennessee get there? But you had a question for me. Brian Hartman, you had a question you wanted to bring up during the break, just a matter of our conversation pertaining to last hour.
Yeah, most of the time, I find high school football recruiting talk, it usually bores me to tears. And how come during that last hour, I was intrigued the whole time listening to Ben talk and Matt ask the questions?
Matt, what do you think the reason for that is? Because I'm kind of like Brian. I find the basketball portal, when you're thinking about putting a team together, highly intriguing the last few springs and energizing. And you can tell by our coverage that I find it that way. And then I find hearing Ben McKee and his knowledge and you and your know-how, listening to that together, that segment as well, I found that to be really terrific radio. Why do you think that is? And I do tend to gloss over at times with football recruiting. Matt, would you have a reason for that?
Well, as I've said before, I don't follow recruiting at all, hardly, and that especially not in this portal era. Because, like with football, a third of the guys you sign are going to be busts anyway, and then another third, at least, are going to transfer within 2 or 3 years. So what's the point in learning who all these guys are when they're going to be scattered across the country in 2 or 3 years? I think the difference with basketball and baseball, and it will especially be true with baseball going forward, is everybody that you sign that's on your roster is going to play and going to have an impact. Obviously, with basketball especially, anybody you bring in the portal is going to be a contributor for you from day one. And then in baseball, with the limited roster space, anybody that's on your team is gonna almost certainly have to play at some point during the season unless they have an injury. So I just think you'll be able to see them and actually see them on the field. Whereas, especially in football, there's just a bunch of guys that you hear about on signing day and then you literally never see them again.
And this revitalized Rick Barnes and seeing them pop before your very eyes makes all these possibilities tantalizing in basketball, Matt. And then with Tony Vitello this past year, like people were saying, well, what if Tennessee didn't get the two roommates from Ole Miss? And I would say to you, what if? What if Tennessee didn't get the two roommates? Everybody gets people out of the portal. But the truth is, when you see that happen, it's tantalizing to think, who is this year's Liam Doyle? Who is this year's whomever? Halverson, when they got him from Missouri, who's now pitching in Major League Baseball. The truth is that this staff knows exactly what they're doing. I think it's interesting that Ben McKee said that the guy Tony was talking about was the pitcher from Rutgers. That's not on my Singo card. Matt, that he would be talking about a pitcher from Rutgers with a 4-something ERA as being the difference between sitting at home next year or maybe playing in Omaha, as he was essentially alluding to it. But now let's get to the main event. And if, by the way, if the living listener has a thought on that, I just find that in baseball and in basketball, the portal seems to it seems to bring more fruit that seems like it's immediate. And the college baseball at a high school recruiting is just as nebulous because it takes 2 or 3 years before you see those guys. And the classes are huge. And Matt, by the same token, a lot of those guys you never see. So, and it takes a while around here for you to see many of the freshmen. Every once in a while you get freshmen that pop. And last year Tennessee had a freshman pitcher. They probably pitched too much before they essentially shut him down. But away we go. Here's the question. We're in a 5+11 format. First you, Matt, then Bry. How many Southeastern Conference teams, if you go that 5+11, 16-team playoff, how many SEC teams, and this is what the SEC wants because they do not want to be capped at 4. How many league teams, Matt, do you think get in under that system annually? What will the number be?
Probably 5 or 6 would be my guess. Probably more 6 than 5, but yeah, I'd say at least 5.
All right, so if 6 get in out of this league, okay, let's say 6, because I think that's right. I think 6 is the number. The SEC controls the TV money. They're going to get the benefit of the doubt at the middle of their field. They're going to have the best teams annually anyway. So let's say it's 6. Matt, if that's in fact the case, how many times should Tennessee make the playoffs out of 5 years?
2 out of 5.
And if you don't get 2 out of 5, is that a fireable offense?
I mean, it'd be on the table, yeah. I mean, there's obviously a difference between going, 6-6 and struggling to make a bowl versus, being in the top 20 and just on the outside looking in of the playoffs. But I mean, if you don't go out of 5 years, yeah, it'd be hard for a coach here to keep his job.
Brian Hartman, what's your number? From this point on,
if you're a perennial,
go ahead, Brian.
Top 20 program like Tennessee should be in football, you're contending for a playoff spot every year. Because I think Tennessee aspires to be in the top 5 of the SEC pretty much every season. So I say 4 out of 5 is possible in a 5-year stretch.
4 out of 5.
But anything less than 3 probably would be considered not good enough.
And 4 out of 5 dentists recommend Trident sugarless gum. Does that still exist, guys? That's how strong that marketing was.
I think so. I think it does.
To the phones we go. In a 5-year increment, we're pulling the lens back from the Josh Heupel conversation. We're talking about us. We're talking about the me and the you. We're talking about the we. We're talking about 5-year increment. When they go to a 16-team playoff, and they're going to settle on this 5-11 format, which means 5 guarantees and then 11. 4 Power 5s. The 5th one comes from the group of 5 or the Power 4. Everybody gets a spot. They're league champions. So you can get in that way. Or you can get in at a large bid. When they have 11 spots to divvy up after that, the SEC most years is going to get 6 to the Big Ten's 5. Every once in a while, the SEC is going to get 5. The Big Ten's going to get 4. Sometimes the Big Ten will get 5 and the 6 and the SEC gets 5. But for the most part, I think this league's going to get 6. Every once in a while, the ACC will get another team. They're going with a component. I linked to it today. They're going with a component that's going to take into account strength of schedules across the board. Matt, it's going to be really hard to beat the strength of schedules across the board when you're playing an SEC schedule. It's going to be really, really hard for an ACC team unless they go 11-1, Matt, and have some really freaking good wins along the way and have a good non-league win, like maybe a Florida State over a Florida at the end of the year. It's going to be really hard for those teams, I think, to qualify, Matt.
Yeah. If any year they get multiple teams in, will be considered a success, and there'll be a number of times where just the league, they're just one team from a league like the ACC gets in.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
That's an awful strike call. Jeez.
Give me the update on the baseball game you guys are watching here.
But keeping it related to football, UCLA's kicked the field goal and LSU punched it in, and they're up 7-3 in the top of the 7th.
Yeah,
they look to close this out, which will mean UCLA has to turn around and play Arkansas tonight in an elimination game. And then the winner of that would have to beat LSU twice, which will be extremely difficult. But Arkansas would at least have a puncher's chance if their bats wake up.
Yeah, that Arkansas team, that LSU team doesn't even look like a great team by LSU standards, Matt. They're pretty good. But they just find a way, man. And Tennessee, if they could have gotten in that deal, may have been able to find a way. Not enough swing and miss from the Vols out of their bullpen this year. That's the dirty little secret. That's the truth. I'm giving you the straight dope.
And too many automatic outs toward the bottom of the lineup.
Well, or in the middle of the lineup, you mean?
And even in the middle of the lineup, too.
No, the infield defense would have cost them a game or two out there as well.
Yeah. And
it's been shaky. The infield defense has been shaky for a lot of these teams. I don't know if they've done something weird with the grass or the dirt, or a lot of these teams in here play on artificial turf, but there's been some shaky infield defense from even really good fielding teams out there.
Back to the phones we go.
That would have obviously gotten Tennessee beat at least one of their 2 games out there.
I'll tell you one thing. That shortstop from UCLA, y'all, can pick it. That cat can play. And I mean play. He a player. Let's go to the phones. On your TLD Logistics phone lines, we open them up. Hello and welcome in. You're on the air.
Hi, Tony.
Hi, you're on the air.
Hi, it's Nick from Memphis giving you a call again.
Hey, Nick in Memphis. Good to talk to you, my friend. Always good to hear your voice.
Thank you, sir. Good to talk to you, too. So you were talking about the 16-team playoff, and I was looking, and I know you can't trust everything on Wikipedia, but I'm pretty sure you can trust SEC standings from the last 5 years because those are set in stone. So if it goes to 16, we probably should be going 9-3 about every year at least. And 9-3 probably means a 5-3 record in the SEC. And if 6 SEC teams are getting in, I mean, in accounting for the fact there's probably going to be an odd year where you have somebody come out of nowhere, like a Missouri or a Arkansas or whoever, I would say 3 out of 5 years for making that 16-team playoff. I'll split the difference between what your two co-hosts said there. One said 2, the other one said, what, 4 or 5? I'll split the difference and say 3 out of 5.
Yeah, 3 is my number. I think that's a fair expectation. Now the question becomes, is it a fireable offense? See, you can have an expectation, that's fine. 3 is my number, but is it a fireable offense if you don't get the 3? My answer would be no to that, Nick. However, if you only go 1 out of 5 years, you're not getting the job done here. You need to go. That would be my answer. But do you think if you don't get 3 out of 5, it's a fireable offense? Where are you on that?
So it's only a fireable offense to me if you can get a coach who is an obvious upgrade on Josh Heupel. And here's what I mean by that. So I didn't get a chance to call in yesterday. Yesterday was busy.
Yeah.
But I did listen a little bit. You were talking about, the expectations and all that. Heupel feels like our version of Mark Richt to me. Good guy, good human being, never going to do worse than maybe 7-5 in a really, really bad year. And Georgia, if you look back, and I hate to compare us to Georgia. Georgia only fired Mark Richt when they knew Kirby Smart was ready and ready to take the leap to Georgia. And Kirby Smart has been an obvious upgrade on Mark Richt. I don't think anybody would argue on that.
Matt, what do you think? I'm going to ask Matt about that. Matt, what do you think of that analogy? That's an interesting analogy there, or comparison anyway.
Yeah, obviously Rick brought in a lot of high-end talent and recruited really well. My comp for Heupel would a little bit more recent is kind of a Dan Mullen type where there's questions about the recruiting and off the field, but just strictly X's and O's and in-game stuff.
I like that.
I think they're a really, really solid coach, but you've got to have the talent to win in this league. And I think that's ultimately what got Mullen at Florida, and that's what at least the questions are with Heupel right now. But the Mark Richt one is pretty fair too.
Yeah, I don't think Heupel loves to recruit. I don't think that's a great secret, and I don't necessarily think that's a terrible thing as long as you develop players and you're able to do that and take what is allegedly less and do more with them. I mean, I think last year was an excellent coaching job. Nick, you wanted to make a point. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, I agree. Last year was a great coaching job. Like, I couldn't have made that adjustment on the fly. Then again, I'm not getting paid millions to do it. But yeah, I think, and Matt was talking about Rick being a better recruiter. It's not hard to be a good recruiter in Georgia. Like, they've got a talent bed in Georgia that's unreal. You should be able to throw a rock in Georgia and it lands on a 4 or 5 star. So, I mean, yeah, I get the Dan Mullen comparisons too. Mullen, and honestly, I think Mullen, if he'd have been at Florida during the playoff era, they probably would have been at least a borderline playoff team. So for me, if you get a coach who's an obvious upgrade on Heupel, both as a recruiter and, well, the recruiting is a big thing because, the talent can make up for a coaching deficit, especially if a guy at least lets his position coaches develop and get out of the way and isn't like meddling the way guys like Pruitt did. I mean, development should be, I'm not saying it's easy, but if you're able to get the kids who look the part, as long as you've got like decent assistants and get out of their way, they should be able to develop them. So for me, 1 out of 5 years, you said 1 out of 5 would be not getting it done and he should go. I would say absolutely to that too. But I mean, if he's hitting 3 out of 5 and as long as we're not getting blown out those 3 years, like we were last year in Columbus, I would think 3 out of 5, gets it done. At some point though, Tony, we're going to have to upgrade on this offensive coordinator, and maybe even the offensive line and wide receiver coach. Because to me, the wide receiver development's more concerning than the offensive line, because that guy has brought dudes in, and he's also lost a bunch of them. And I'm sure it's more nuanced than that, but for me, if it continues, especially this year, if the offense looks just as bad, I'm sure there's going to be some people like higher up that have way more influence and pull on a program than I do.
I think that's accurate. Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think this is a year where Heupel's offense better click. And here's a problem. You're going to try to do this with either Joey Football or whomever else they stick under center in a league where, man, and I know Tennessee's got, by SEC standards right now, a generous window the next 2 years, but it ain't that generous.
Schedule is very friendly.
Yeah, it ain't that generous, though. I mean, yeah, it's friendly, but, you're still playing in this league, and you're still, every team you face is got some excellent athletes. It's just part of what you do here. But yet, to your point, I think that he'll get pressure to make changes. I think Danny White and them are taking more of a hands-on approach with his football team anyway, behind the scenes, NIL-wise, internally, trying to lend a hand there is what's going on internally. So that's as close as I'm going to go to getting into that here. But, Nick, I appreciate you. I got him down for 3 out of 5 years. What's your answer? 865-200-5402. Look, there are teams in this league that should expect to get there 5 out of 5 years. I think there are 3 of them in our league. I want Matt and Brian to guess those teams when I come back on the other side. But let me do this. Hello and welcome into our next call. 3 teams should get in every year here.
J-Bay Bozo.
Well, not you. No, you shouldn't get in. You'll never get in. And when you get in for 5 seconds. 865-200-5402. All right, I'm going to ask Matt and Brian.
Okay.
In fact, let's do that. Brian, you were wanting to say. Go ahead.
What if they make 2 playoff appearances every 5 years, but they win a national championship with one of those appearances or go deep in the playoffs?
Obviously,
then?
Obviously, that buys you all the equity you want. If you go 1 out of 5 years and win a natty, you're my man. You can dribble, you can shoot, you're the man. Okay? You're like Ben McKee in the first hour. You can dribble, you can shoot. So that's a game changer. The challenge here is going to be not getting in, but actually getting some footing and winning some games in that deal. The challenge here, Matt, I think the real challenge would be getting to a national semifinal. I don't know how many times we see that in our lifetime here. Can you say that out loud, Matt? People not get angry with you? Because the teams that are in that national semifinal are the teams that are putting together in this era huge roster payroll football teams. That's what it's going to be going forward. Whether people are ready for that or not, it's what we saw last year.
If seeded properly, Tennessee could have been in a national semifinal if they got, say, it didn't happen, but you had SMU. If you had SMU at home,
right,
and then you play Georgia in the Sugar Bowl with a backup quarterback.
No, not you.
I mean,
not you.
That team that didn't have much offense.
Hey,
could
Matt.
have made it.
Hey, Matt. What % chance would Tennessee have had to beat Georgia last year?
In a Sugar Bowl versus a backup quarterback, maybe 15.
Thank you. At least Matt's keeping it real. Some of you want to pretend like guy called me. It's a coin flip. A coin flip.
No, it's not a coin flip.
A coin flip means 1 out of 2.
They've had a schematic advantage over Tennessee on both sides of the ball, which, we talked about Kirby's defense shutting down Heupel's offense. The way that they manipulate our coverages with the multiple tight ends and the pre-snap movement. I mean, they've been able to, it's been 7-on-7 for their average quarterbacks for like 4 years now against our defense.
I mean, no offense, but Matt's kind of speaking the truth. So in that series, they've had better players and they've had better schemes. But other than that, yeah, it was a coin flip last year. And if you want to tell yourself that, that's fine. I'm not here to tell anybody that's, you got to think like me. But they were not winning last year unless Georgia put the ball on the ground 4 times. They just weren't.
Well, that's the only reason Notre Dame beat them, because they had that terrible turnover right before the half.
That's exactly right. And Notre Dame.
I mean, could Tennessee's defensive line create a bunch of havoc if Tim Banks decided to blitz that in a rematch? Yeah, there's a chance you could win that way, but it would be a sloppy, low-scoring type game. But, yeah, I mean, Georgia's just a better program right now with schematic advantages, which is really unfortunate.
And it's not a terrible shame. It's just not a terrible shame to admit that. It's just not. My friends at VIP Play want to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, from now till the end of the month, June 30th, the VIP Players Club sweepstakes, you want to get in on the huge grand prize they're giving away. Every bet you make on VIP Play gets you entries into the VIP Players Club sweepstakes. You can earn an entry per bet, an entry per every dollar you bet. 10 times the entries on all parlays and also same-game parlays. You may want to grab an SGP tonight on my man with the California Angels, Matt. You talk about a great story. That is a great story. So you might want to grab a same-game parlay tonight on our man who, Simo. Also, College World Series booster happening this weekend and throughout next week. Also, ladies and gentlemen, daily profit boost, 25% on your Major League Baseball parlay profit boost, 3 picks or more. NBA playoffs. Will the closeout game happen the next time we see those 2 teams on the floor? There's a no danger wager opportunity for you there. 50% of your stake back if your bonus bet wager loses, and 20% on the College World Series with a profit boost, 3 picks or more. I would have been all over LSU today. That UCLA team don't have enough pitching. They're not ready for that. They're not ready for that. Got some good ball players though. Not enough pitching. VIP Play where everybody gets treated like a VIP. Gambling problem 800-889-9789. 21 and over, located in my state of Tennessee to place a bet. And we shall bring it on back on the other side. It is your Tuesday edition with Matt and Bry. My name's Tone. We continue after this.
Guests appear on the TLD Logistics Hotline. Online at tldlogistics.com.
Your Smokies are back home next week, and you asked for it, so you got it. All You Can Eat Wednesdays is back. Pulled pork, hot dogs, Bush's baked beans, popcorn, chips, drinks, a ticket to the game. You get it all. Don't forget Thirsty Thursdays with half-off draft beers, and next weekend, we've got Medieval Night on Friday with Knights, Royals, and fireworks. Smokies Version Night and fireworks on Saturday with the first 2,000 fans receiving a free friendship bracelet. And come meet Flippy on Sunday. Grab your tickets now at SmokiesBaseball.com.
Whether it's baseball, football, softball, church groups, or schools, if you're raising money, do it with locally roasted Grade A Grounds coffee. I'm Billy Miller, a Vol alum and Knoxville native. You keep 40% of sales, and we donate 5% back to our East Tennessee community. Get started today by visiting our website at gradeagrounds.com.
Since 2001, Hyperinch Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling has been the trusted and preferred name for over 70,000 Knoxville locals. Looking for expert plumbing services and HVAC services, including repairs, replacements, or maintenance. Voted best plumber in Knoxville and one of Knoxville's best HVAC companies 7 years in a row. Hyperinch is a fully licensed mechanical contractor and committed to excellence and craftsmanship, so you can trust our certified experts to go above and beyond to meet your plumbing and HVAC needs, no matter what problem arises. We also make it easy with transparent pricing, free on-site estimates for replacements, and free second opinions on repairs. And if budgets are tight, we offer flexible payment plans including 0% financing when credit approved. Be sure to ask about our 10-plus year warranties that are 2 times longer longer than industry standards, so you don't spend a cent on unexpected costs in the future. So call PipeWrench at 865-264-8090 or look online at PipeWrench.com to schedule your appointment today. And as always, same-day service guaranteed, or the visit is free.
Hi, I'm Jim Simpson, owner of Simpson Meats. When's the last time you grilled a really good burger or steak? One your friends still talk about. Our goal at Simpson Meats is to make that happen every time you have a cookout. All of our cuts of meats, steaks, burgers, briskets, and pork are always fresh, flavorful, and sustainably sourced. We are family owned, so we know the importance of knowing how and where your food is raised. We have been putting quality first since 1888. Visit our butcher shop off Lovell Road or online at simpsonmeats.com.
Life never stops moving. And between the 30-minute commutes, daycare pickups, weekly soccer practice, Tuesday night yoga, X number of coffee runs, and that weekend trip to Grandma's, you're racking up the miles. What you need is a tire that can keep up. A tire designed for doers. A tire that's going to last. Like the exceptionally long-lasting Michelin Defender tire. With an 80,000-mile warranty and the safety and comfort you expect, you can forget all about the miles ahead and focus on getting to your destination or conquering your to-do list. Fleet Tire, I-275 exit 1B at East Woodland Avenue in Knoxville. That's Fleet Tire, I-275 exit 1B at East Woodland Avenue in Knoxville. Fleet Tire. Basilio here for Budget Transmissions. TGMD, the great Matt Dixon, took his Ford Escape to budget, and like our gold bullet back in the day, it was a total mess. And now, Matt's back in the game. He's got a new transmission, axle, wheel bearing, both radiator hoses, engine mounts, coolant hoses. I mean, his Ford Escape was about to escape to the junkyard, but he didn't begrudge it. He took it to budget, and now he's on his way back to Omaha. Budget Transmissions, over 30 years in business, conveniently located in Bearden. All extended service contracts are honored. A gold certified Repair Pal member. 865-584-4391. 865-584-4391. Budget Transmissions. Don't begrudge it. Take it to budget.
Hi there, Basilio crew. Jennifer Morris here with Keller Williams Realty. If you're thinking about selling your home, I've got good news for you. The East Tennessee and Knoxville areas are projected to have another strong year. I'll be happy to talk with you about the latest and greatest info you need. So give me a call at 865-694-5904 or contact me at nextmovesmokymountains.com. Hope to hear from you soon, and go Vols.
Tony B here with the great Zakai Ziegler for
Hey,
Advent.
whoa. Tony, I got this. Hey, Tennessee, it's Easy here. Next time you have an electric issue at your home or business, call my friends at Advent Electric. With offices in Knoxville and Nashville, it's Mama's Easy approved.
You heard it from the most electrifying player in the league. Call the service professionals at Advent Electric, 865-588-0631. Online, adventelectric.com. Tell them ZZ sent you. Tony B back with you as we welcome you back. I'm currently in transit on my way out to see. Well, I got a little appointment. I don't want to bore anybody with my life, but I'm doing the show from the car, which Matt Dixon thinks is kind of comical while I'm driving down the road. Hey, Matt, over here in North Knoxville the other day, we had an on-patrol live situation, which is always kind of fun. We had a guy was fleeing from the police and rammed a police car up here and took off. I'm driving around here. I just kind of noticed all the tire marks. Do you find, Matt, live, when you see live on-patrol action, do you enjoy that kind of thing?
Oh, 100%. I'm always for it.
I mean, it's pretty next level. I ain't going to lie to you. But we're going to go to our phones. All right, guys, let's talk about this Pavia guy. What do we make of Pavia's comments? Because I'm sure today I'm going to be on Plaster this afternoon, HOF George Plaster. And I'm sure that's going to come up. And what do we make of this Pavia guy? What would lead him? I mean, does he want me to root against him in a court of law? I mean, what are we doing here?
And that's just kind of who he is, which is kind of what Vandy needs. But unfortunately, he doesn't have enough ability to back it up. And he certainly doesn't have the team around him to back it up. I mean, I'll never forget just this past year, Tennessee spotted them, like a 10-point lead before Nico even threw a pass. And Tennessee had the lead going into the locker room, and Pavia came out of the tunnel, talking trash to Tennessee's defensive line. And it's like, dude, you have like 16 passing yards right now. What are you doing?
So this kid's nature is that he's going to get his. Go ahead, Bri.
Okay. 2 games. What do you think the line's going to be when Vanderbilt comes to Neyland? Tennessee minus.
Boy,
because whatever it is, it's probably not going to be high enough. I would go to the bank, take out a big chunk, lay it on the balls.
Yep.
And count the winnings all the way back to the bank and plan a nice trip somewhere.
I would ask Robert Kowalski that. I would bet you that line is probably 16, 15, 16, something like that. Does that sound right to you, Matt, right now?
Yeah, that seems like a good number. Will we even remember these comments by that game when that comes up? I guess we will.
Well, that's what's kind of fun about it. What's kind of fun about it is him doing that sort of makes me anticipate the upcoming season. Like, in a sense, I want to say, hey, man, keep my team's name out of your mouth. And then in a sense, I want to say, at least you're not being like the rest of this corporate SEC sports world where it's boring. To this day, people still talk about the Archie Who game in our fan base and in Ole Miss's fan base. And there's a reason for that. One of our guys kind of talked trash on Archie Manning and said Archie Who. And, that's a part of these sports. The fact that they're played by human beings. They're played by some guys who like to have that bravado. And, it's kind of it kind of adds to the mystique and the mystery and the fun a little bit. And I don't know. I kind of say to myself, no harm, no foul. But Matt brings up a great point, which is, at the end of the day, who really cares? Because I don't. But I think it's kind of funny. And like Matt said, this Pavia guy, how do you get Vanderbilt to have a pulse? You have a guy like that at quarterback. I'll tell you this, Matt, about Pavia. And you said it earlier. I guarantee you, if a Tony Vitello could add a Pavia to his baseball team, to this recently completed season, Matt, he would have added a Pavia.
Yes. Yeah, they needed one. Yes.
I meant to ask McKee last hour which game Tony was referencing where they got punched in the face, and because Tony's not going to give that up to anybody. I've texted Tony. I'm like, what game are you talking about? He's like, I'm not. I told you what I'm going to tell you. I'm not telling you. It's like, okay, whatever, dude. Relax, man. Hey Tony, this is verbal, bro. This ain't physical. I ain't rolling around on a wrestling mat with you, okay? I'm not Scott Stallings. I'm not rolling around in a wrestling or hot sauce. I'm not rolling around a wrestling mat with you. I'm just asking a question. Jeez Louise. Let's go back to our phones. Question we're bouncing around here is, Matt, who are the 3 teams every year in this league that should make the playoff every year? Who are the 3?
Georgia, Alabama, and LSU.
Texas.
I think Texas is the team.
Texas has to be in there. I guess Texas instead of LSU.
I said Georgia, Texas, LSU because they have 2 things. They have the money and they have the proximity to the ball players. Alabama, I don't think.
To me, I don't know under Saban,
yep.
yes, but I don't know under this coach or in this world.
I agree, Brian.
Whether they can make
no,
it
I
all
agree,
five.
Brian.
Yeah, but their fans don't view it that way.
But Matt, the reality is they don't have the billionaires that some of these other booster bases have. Tennessee has billionaires, several of them. Alabama just kind of poking around. I don't think they do. They have people that love it. They have people that are sick with it. If you remember, Nick Saban, before he left, was on the record talking about how they were sort of cash poor NIL-wise. Unless I'm misremembering. I think there's a reason why Nick Saban went scorched earth on LSU on the front end of this thing, because he saw, hey, these guys can out-purchase me. I used to out-purchase everybody else behind the scenes, but now that the cost of business went up tenfold, I'm not going to be able to keep up with the Joneses anymore. Jones versus Jones. Very, very, very great vocal from James J.T. Taylor out in front of Kool and the Gang back in the day. Those of you that know the tune Jones versus Jones. Let's go back to the phones. Let's get our next call in. Hello and welcome. You're on the air.
Hey, Tony. This is Rob in Dallas.
Hey, Rob. Welcome in.
Hey, good, man. I agree. Georgia, Texas, LSU, that's your top three. But going back to Tennessee, would I be all right with 3 out of 5 years? Yeah, but one of those years we got to go beyond the first round. I don't want to go 3 out of 5 years and get blown out first game every playoff. And mind you, I'm a Josh Heupel fan, and I think he's doing great things. I think we're inching closer to the Georgias and the Alabamas and the LSUs and the Texases of the world, but, you know, we're just missing pieces. The way I look at him putting together his team and everything, it's like if you go back to his first year, it was like a puzzle. Okay, I need this, and I'm going to put this in here. Okay, we got a little bit better, and then we struck gold with Hendon Hooker, and, you know, that was the new standard that everybody wanted, including present company. And go back to last year, I don't care who you put behind center back there. I think we'd have had the same record. I mean, defense kept us in the game. Running back was off the chart. Just, you know, I don't think, you know, the guy that was there last year was going to set the world on fire. And to be quite honest with you, I don't think he'd done it this year either. I'm looking at the schedule. I'm calling 9-3 as the ceiling. And so, yeah, I'd love to go 3 out of 5 years, but out of one of those years, we got to go beyond that first round.
Well, you know, here's the thing. I think that Tennessee goes 9-3 this year, Josh Heupel should get Coach of the Year and should be walked down, and we should celebrate him down on Gay Street with a parade. And I'm being serious. I think that's 9-3 would be a really, really great result with everything that's happened this off season. Matt, the most mystifying thing to me about him is the inability to evaluate and develop wide receivers. That's the weirdest thing so far about the Heupel era, Matt, that they haven't been able to attract or evaluate and develop wide receivers, Matt, at a faster clip. It's very strange.
Yeah, they haven't evaluated and developed the same wide receivers. They've developed guys, but it was per leftovers like Hyatt and Tillman. You know, Javonte Payton had a nice, 1-year deal, but from the portal, but they haven't identified, and recruited and developed guys. It is very odd. Even some of their portal guys they've just not panned out as well as we hoped. I guess Thornton last year would have been that, but every time he made a catch and didn't score, he got hurt. So, yeah. But no, it is the evaluations and development of their own talent has been really a really strange thing. It's a good point.
But how much is it the quarterback? Because I made it to 3 games last year, and the biggest one I went to was the Oklahoma game. And to be quite honest with you, we should have won that game 48 to whatever, because I can't tell you the times I saw wide receivers streaking down the field wide open, and he would dump it underneath. or he'd hit that slant across the middle. Dante scored on it one time, but how much is it the quarterback? Because every game I went to, I can count probably 7 touchdowns we left on the field with wide open receivers, or he would miss them. And so how much is it the quarterback versus receivers? Because what I saw at live in game action, I saw receivers wide open and he just missed. So is it the receivers or is it the quarterback?
I think I don't know. Look, yeah.
Plus the shaky pass.
I think it's something internally. I think that's something internally that they are wondering themselves, because I think if they knew it, I think they could stop it from happening. I think that a lot of times when these people that know talk about this high safety look, that Georgia, Matt was talking about the schematic advantage, even during the Hendon Hooker magical season, Georgia figured out a way to neutralize Tennessee and make their offense look ordinary. And that was by rolling those safeties up, which was a similar thing to what Tulsa in their league, that's a similar thing to what Tulsa did, and now just about everybody's doing it to stop these offenses. And so I wonder what the check is. I wonder, we're going to find out this year. Tennessee's, they installed back in the spring some pistol stuff. Are they still going to be able to do that with this new quarterback? Or they have to warp the stuff down? Is Merklinger going to end up winning the job out of camp? Some people seem to think that. I don't know. I would be very surprised if that happened. Probably not a very good sign if that happened. Joey Football, they say, behind the scenes is a really confident, if not cocky kid, which I guess is kind of good as they try to run up to the season. This thing is going to be extremely compelling this year. And Heupel's era going forward is going to be extremely compelling because the truth is, for a guy with 2 10-win seasons and some high-water moments, he's got a lot of questions around his program right now. A lot more than a guy with 2 10-win seasons should have around his program.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
You're the man, brother. Thank you from Dallas. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
What was the how many years out of 5 did you say you should get in the playoff? 3? Okay, he's gone.
Yeah, he split the difference between Brian and I.
He said 3. Okay, yeah.
Although Brian wants us competing for it all 5, like every single year.
If you're a top 20 program perennially.
Yeah, but Brian, you're going to have dip years. I mean, it's just nature of the deal. It's like Watson Brown said. The other thing, too, that kind of compounds all this is that you're in a highly competitive league where Auburn's not going to sit still. 6 teams annually are going to get in. Is Texas A&M, are they going to be heard? Like, when you guys think about it, what are the teams in the league that are going to vie annually to get in the playoff? Let's rattle them off here. We already mentioned Texas, Georgia, and LSU. I think those are the first 3. Who else you got, Matt?
Auburn, Florida.
Yeah.
Even
Alabama.
In that, I think. Alabama. Yes. Ole Miss with Kiffin, I think is kind of in there. Although maybe not every year, but like a year like last year, certainly.
So that's 8. And then, that's 8 teams there.
Yeah, there's only about 3 or 4 schools that I think truly aren't competing for the playoffs. And even out of those,
that's
like
9 for 6.
Arkansas, Mississippi State, they could have a peak year, once every 5 or 6 years where they sneak in there. Besides Vandy and Kentucky, every team in this league should have goals of making a playoff once every 5 years. I think that should be your kind of dream. Maybe you don't get there, but you should at least have that aspiration.
I would sell it to my fan base. If I was South Carolina, I'd sell the dream. If I was on Arkansas radio, I would say
with Vince Morrow at Louisville, losing him to Louisville, they might not be able to field a team.
To the radio listener, I love you. I appreciate you. We will do some TLD Logistics Overdrive overtime, get a few more calls in, and then get out of here on a Tuesday. Loved and appreciated is what you are. To the radio listener, peace. God bless and go Vols.
WJBE 1040 AM 99.7 FM. Translator W259AB. Powell, Knoxville.
It's TLD Logistics Overdrive Overtime, presented by TLD Logistics. Online at tldlogistics.com. And now let's go to the guys with today's edition of TLD Logistics Overdrive Overtime.
So here we are, ladies and germs, back with you. It's a TLD Logistics Overdrive Overtime. Rob in Dallas, great phone call. Always good to hear from you. We've heard from a ton of really good callers today as I make my way out toward West Knoxville on this really beautiful day. It's 89 degrees here. Those of you listening around the world, it's one of these East Tennessee days where it's 89 and it only feels like it's about, 6,000 degrees outside. One of those 6,000 degree, 89 degree days.
Welcome to late June and July.
Yep. An 89 degree day here in East Tennessee where it feels like, 103. But let's, without further ado, all right, let's list those teams one more time. I want to count them. The first three I've got LSU, Texas, and Georgia. They're going to expect to get in every year under this new format. Because one of those teams is going to win the league, and the other two teams are going to get in unless they're totally mismanaged. Now the guy at LSU, he's been good enough under a 16 team playoff, Matt. That guy's good enough that they're qualifying right now, and they're not happy with him. That just shows you what a good job that is. That guy would qualify every year under the current system if they went to a 16-team format. Yes.
Just about every year. Yeah.
Florida would under.
They're not happy with it.
They go every year.
Oh, sure, but see, Florida. Now you make a great point about Florida. They've got to have. That's the lesson we've learned about Florida is, if you don't have the right coach there, that's not a great job. You got to have a guy that really wants to recruit and can coach. You better really want to recruit, and you better really be able to coach if you want to win at that place. And I mean win big. Two guys have been able to do that. One of them didn't like recruiting, Spurrier, but he knew he could coach the hell out of a football team in his day. He was damn good now. Damn good. Always had great defensive coordinators, too. I mean, Spurrier at Florida, Matt. Tell the kids what Spurrier at Florida was like back in the 90s, Matt, what that was like, watching him.
He was about 10 or 15 years ahead of the game, which is what his offense did. It's crazy to go back now and watch. They would have 4 and 5 wide receiver sets, and Tennessee would still have 3 linebackers on the field. It was just, it's something that would never go on, but that's how far his offense was and how innovative it was. He didn't like recruiting, but he kind of knew that, and he made up for it by hiring good recruiters and, like you said, having a great defensive coordinator. I guess after that Fiesta Bowl versus Nebraska is when he really put an emphasis on defense. But, yeah, he was way ahead of his time, and I mean, he is Florida football.
I think it's accurate.
Without Spurrier on the sideline or without Tim Tebow under center, that's a good to decent program. It's good, but it's not great.
That's right.
It's better than average, but it's not outstanding.
And the weird thing is, obviously, you'd never know by our success or lack thereof against them, but everybody else has taken turns in the last 15 years proving that on them when they get on the field with them. Now, you would never know that from us, but everybody else takes turns and goes into their building and beats them and smacks them around. And at the end of the day, this thing's about getting football players. But I'll put them in that group that will be fighting for a playoff spot annually. So there's 4 of them. Alabama's 5. 6 is Ole Miss as long as Lane Kiffin's there. 7 South Carolina. 8 is Texas A&M. Who am I forgetting? Well, we're 9. We're 9. Tennessee's 9. I think that's all you have, guys. I think it's 9 teams. And the other 7, Matt, like you said, every once in a while, those are the every year teams that are fighting right now to get into that playoff every year. As long as Lane Kiffin, like Mississippi State guys, they're not fighting every year to get in, are they? I don't think so. Not every year.
Back and brings Dak Prescott with him.
Not every year. I would even say like South Carolina, Missouri, Arkansas, like those teams aren't fighting every year, but if they could make it, 3 or 4 out of 5 would be I mean that's lofty, but if they can make it 2 out of every 5, that would be a reasonable goal for them.
I would sell it to my fan base, but I think if they got in 1 out of 5, I would sell 2 out of 5 if I was an AD there. But I would know if we got in 1 out of 5 years, I would kiss my football coach, I'd sell the fan base 2 out of 5. You got to keep people interested. Because now what that's right. That's right. Sell 2, 0 for 1. It's a very, very interesting thing to look at. I think Tennessee is slotted to the top middle of the league. And not the top of the league, but the top middle. And the top middle's not a bad place to be. Because if you really stop and think about it, you're going to get 6 under this 11-5 format. You're getting 6 teams in, so the top middle is not a bad place to be. It's going to put you in playoff contention if you're doing our job right. And this isn't even about our head coach, okay? This is about our program. I mean, Josh Heupel's not going to be here forever, but this 11+5 thing is going to be how the game's going to be played going forward. And so thinking about the sport from that regard is certainly an interesting thought. All right, so let's go back and get our next phone call in. Hello and welcome, as I welcome you on our TLD Logistics Overdrive Overtime. Hi.
Hey, y'all. Leslie, how are y'all doing?
Hey, Leslie, good to talk to you.
Hey, I'm glad it's sunny there because it's raining here again. It rains pretty much 20 hours out of every day. But anyway,
interesting.
So I was thinking about your question. I mean, I can't remember who said it, if it was like 2 and 5, but we won a championship, 1 out of 5. I mean, hello, that would be huge, I think, but realistically, if we got there 1 out of 5 and at least made it to the semis, I mean, I think that's acceptable, or maybe more than acceptable.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. I think a deep run once every 5 years, the fan base would take that. I think that's now you better be okay the next 5 years, other 4 years. You can't be like Rod Delmonico baseball was, where they would go, they would literally go to the College World Series, and Matt can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but then they would have teams that wouldn't even qualify for Hoover. Matt, is that right? Is that what they did in baseball?
Yes, yeah, that have an Omaha run and then miss Hoover for like 2 of the next 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
weird.
You can't do that. No, yeah, you can't do that. You got to be right there on the cusp. Like a South Carolina or Ole Miss was last year. Right there in the conversation.
Yep.
Then I think recruits, they see that and it keeps the buzz going. But I like Heupel. I think it was Bino the other day. I mean, for me, character matters. I know for some people around the program, they don't care. It's just all about winning. But I think that counts for something. It may not be measurable, but I think it's important. And so I think it was Bina that was kind of talking in those terms. Just someone who is a solid individual. You don't think about seeing Coach Heupel showing up in the news, getting arrested, or stuff like that. I think that matters to me, and I think a lot of the fans too. So that's an intangible, I guess, you can't measure, and it's not directly involved with winning or losing, but I think it's still winning. So,
well, I'll give you another thing about him that I like. Leslie, he doesn't like tell you anything in the press, right?
Right.
But with that, he also is not going to get in front of a microphone and embarrass my university, where friends from around the country are texting me,
right,
and joking with me about 5-star hearts. Right. And some of that stuff we had to put up, or the Derek Dooley craziness, or the fact that poor Jeremy Pruitt butchered, no offense to him, but he kind of butchered the King's English, no offense to him. I mean, Heupel at least presents, oh my gosh.
Hey, I got some intel, but I can't share it on the air.
What?
I have some intel on another program.
Hang on.
Share it on the air.
Is it a program within the SEC?
Yes.
Oh boy. Is it good or bad?
No, it's not good or bad, but it relates to the topic. But I'm not at liberty to put it out on the airwaves. But I wanted you.
Are you going to shoot me an email that I will keep between us girls?
No, I'd rather just tell you on the telephone so you don't have it in print.
It's so next level.
You got to take me.
All right, hang on. I got to ask Matt.
Air.
I understand. Matt Dixon, do you find this to be totally next level that Leslie's getting ready to drop a truth bomb on me? Yes or no?
Oh, I love it. I'm for it.
Now, Leslie, I know the business you're kind of in, so I know you got your ear to the ground here, there, and everywhere. I respect your information.
Yeah.
I'm currently driving, so I'm away. Shoot me an email how I can get in touch with you. And my people, when I come out of my appointment here, are going to get in touch with your people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can do that, or I can talk to Matt or whoever. It's just I just didn't want to,
Well, if you want to tell lovely Laura your little secret, I'll. Oh God, I just ran out the intersection here. Don't try this at home, boys and girls. Hey.
No, that's fine.
Then there was.
Put me on background.
Stay right there. Yeah, I'll let you.
You
talk
getting
to the
pulled
lovely.
over by a on patrol unit doing like a pre-taping deal would be the greatest thing that's ever happened to your show.
Laura's got to be thinking.
Think of the free advertising. You get Darren Rovell to calculate that free advertising for you.
Laura's probably thinking, get off the air
Pellissippi Parkway.
Right now,
Pellissippi Parkway at Kingston Pike, guys, trying to pull into Fort Sanders West out here. I just pulled across traffic and didn't even look. I was so engrossed in Leslie's tip and what it could be. I just kind of lost my mind. Leslie, you almost cost me my automobile there, and maybe a few internal injuries. Who knows? But thank you. Stay right there. No, I'm not going to do that. Put her on hold. And Matt and Bry, you guys could be the man. You can dribble, you can shoot. Both of you. I appreciate both of you.
A lot of people dribbling and shooting today, Tone.
LSU 8-5, bottom of the 8th.
UCLA actually brought the go-ahead run to the plate in the top of the 8th.
UCLA actually. Yeah, UCLA actually blows. Till we meet again. I love them. I stand with them. I'm not against them. I stand for them and with them. Those uniforms, every time I see them, I pop. Immaculate.
Does the Red Sox have a trademark on their logo, the B? Because UCLA has the same on their caps.
You got the B,
I
Bri.
guess not.
You got the beat. The Go-Go's, Bri. You got the beat. Till we meet again, for all those behind the scenes, my name's TB. Laura, thank you for pushing the buttons here at the very end and for downloading Leslie's information. I can't wait to hear it when I get out. Matt, Bri, thank you guys. Matt will have a full report tomorrow at tclub.team. And, Matt, you're dropping some knowledge, aren't you?
Well, just kind of wrapping up the baseball season and maybe looking ahead a little bit, even though there's so much uncertainty with the rosters. But mainly just kind of final thoughts of the baseball season, and maybe some stuff about like individual players and some thoughts on them and where they're slotted for the draft, which is going to be 8 or 10 guys. And I did see yesterday that Vitello was on the MLB Network being interviewed, and they kind of mentioned during that he will be on their draft coverage again this year. So that'll be another good thing for the program to have him front and center on draft night.
It's ridiculous. He's like Rick Pitino was when he was in college, and Rick Pitino would be on the NBA, be on the national thing, up there on the stage every year. He is the voice. He is the choice voice. He is the man. He can dribble. He can shoot. One thing about me, I won't beat something into the ground, will I, Matt? Much love and appreciation, boys and girls. Oh, no. Not me. Bri, thank you. Bri, stay well. Laura, thank you. TLD Logistics online at tldlogistics.com. Much love. Appreciate you. Peace. GBO. Tight recruiting numbers. Everybody that's been here, right? I mean, because it's a great spot to be in. It's a great school with a lot of money, a lot of tradition.
Yeah, most everyone has recruited pretty well here, Tony.
So we're going to get into that. I want to hit the reset button. I want Bino to give his thoughts. And then Thrody asks, what happens if? And then we'll open it up on the TLD Logistics phone lines. Just as something to think about, an exercise to kind of consider. What if it becomes like the old days where everybody's got equal footing and you can't money whip people anymore and you really are on a budget? I think that would really hurt Josh Heupel if you really got on a budget. I think it would hurt him because I don't know that he has recruiting firepower